Hello and welcome. Thank you for popping in. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe for me. If you find this content helpful, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss the next video. And head to the comment section to let me know if there's anything that you guys need help with. You can also check out my website, consultingninja.tech, where I have a whole bunch of resources that I've used that were helpful, and hopefully you'd get some benefit from them as well. With that out of the way, let's jump into Svelte. I am using Vite to power this. If you don't know what Vite is or why you should use it, check out the video in the link in the description so that you can get up to date with current events. Let's get right to our Svelte source code. So inside of our folder here, you can see this is all basic stuff. This looks the same as every other framework that's out there. It most closely resembles Vue. You can see that the file extension is .svelte, but apart from that, just looking at the folder structure, you'd never know that this was a Svelte application versus anything else. Inside of our app, you can see that the structure here again resembles Vue, but there are some major differences. So in Vue, all of the content that you're rendering has to be wrapped in a template tag. That is not the case with Svelte. Here we are only wrapping it in a main tag because Svelte focuses on proper HTML format. From HTML5 and beyond, all of the main content for the body of your HTML document should be wrapped in a main tag, and that is the only reason why the main tag is here, and this will in fact work if you remove it. So just pointing that out. Another noticeable difference is that each of these sections is optional. You don't have to have any of them in Svelte. You can have one, all three, or any combination thereof, and it will work. Another cool feature of Svelte is the IDE support. While they claim it is only in development, it's actually really powerful already. You can see when I deleted out the elements that use these styles, it is immediately telling me that these are unused. So if you've ever been in that situation where you're not sure if CSS styling is being used, so you're not wanting to delete it, you're a lot less likely to have that problem when the IDE is flashing this giant yellow line at you saying, hey, this isn't used. So we can go out and delete that. We can also delete that import for now. And let's just go ahead and delete that file and create a new one. And I'll just call this tests.svelte. I want to show you guys something else that's really cool. And in here, I'm just going to make an H1 and say hello. Before I move on, did anybody catch that yellow line that just popped up for that and wonder what it was? So another huge bonus to Svelte, and one of the reasons why I think this is going to be successful long term, is that they have accessibility support for your IDE built in. So everywhere where accessibility is a concern, in this case, this is telling me that this element should have child content. That's kind of obvious, but it also will tell you every other accessibility concern that exists in your application. And it does so with the yellow warning highlighting. If you don't know what A11Y is, that's just the shorthand for accessibility. And so in this case, it's missing content. In the case of like an image tag, it will check to make sure that you have your alt properties. If you have an on click, it will make sure that you have a on key press, the accessible version of that event handler as well. So really powerful stuff for companies that are accessibility concerned, which there are many. This is going to be huge, really. So let's put some text in here and save this in our app. Let's import tests. And I forgot to give it the, let's rename that. All of your components, same with React, should have an uppercase letter. We want to do that in particular with Svelte because That's how they differentiate between a custom component and a regular HTML element. And on that note, as I was saying that Svelte focuses on HTML, that is especially the case because most other frameworks have JavaScript that includes a little bit of HTML. And with Svelte, it's backwards. It is HTML that includes some JavaScript. So it is a big difference from that point of view. So I can put this component in there and save. And let's check out. There it is. So pretty cool. It's not wrapped in anything. It's just an H1 in a Svelte file that says hello. And to show you that you do not have to have that main there, I'll delete that, and there it still is. No problems, no errors, but we do want to leave that in for the sake of proper HTML formatting. The next thing I want to show you that's pretty cool is you don't have to have any sort of parent-child. Like React, you have to have some sort of single parent element, whether it's a React fragment or a div or some sort of custom component. There has to be one parent element that has the rest of everything in your component inside of it. Not the case with Svelte. Let's do another one here. And you can see no problems here as well. So this is pretty cool. I like it. And let's add a style tag. I think that Vue has something similar to this. I'm not sure if Vue's is as powerful. I've not played with it enough to really know. But let's add an H1 selector here. And let's give this a color of hashtag 345 and then any other 3 numbers. It's going to be some sort of blue or green. And let's do a font size of, I don't know, 22 pixels. Let's do 22. And save that. All right, so let's go ahead and copy this, and let's paste it in our other app. And let's add an H1 here. And you see already how that is helpful. Let's just say hello from app. And let's change the color here to some sort of yellow and make this 42 pixels. And then save. Inside of our application now, you can see Svelte takes care of keeping those items, those selectors, from bleeding into each other. So you could have nested components all using the very basic CSS selectors and not have to worry about name collisions. Svelte handles all of that for you behind the scenes. You don't really need to worry about it. So that's really cool and really powerful. I am going to copy a file I've already made for a tic-tac-toe game. I've redone this in Vue, I've done it in React, and now I'm doing it in Svelte. And I'm just going to copy this file I've already written. Feel free to copy from the repository that is available for you guys out there on my in my GitHub. So looking at this file, you can see there are some differences here from React, obviously. These are the pieces of state. They're just regular JavaScript variables, so that's really cool. In Vue, you have to use references, so you'd have to have an import up here. You'd have to be using the dot value in your script. Everywhere that's inside your script tag, you'd have to be getting inside of the reference to pull out the value. So it makes much cleaner code and short code. This same version in Vue, if you guys check that out, you'll see all of these are much longer because of that. Another thing that is super cool in Svelte, I don't know if anybody has noticed this, but there is this $ message equals. And first time I seen this, I was like, what the heck is that? This is actually really cool. So I'm going to give this other example really quickly. Let's make a count, let count equal 0, and then I'm going to say $ doubled is equal to count times 2, and $ quad is equal to doubled times 2. And inside of the content that's rendered, let's just make another H2. And the way that you render items is with the brackets. And let's just say count is, and then count, doubled is doubled, quad is quad. And one last little thing just so we can see this change is in this handle click, let's add a count plus equals 1 and save that. Now in our application, we have our tic-tac-toe game. We also have the hello from app in the nice greenish yellow color. And then we have that little message there. Now, every time I click a box, all that's going to happen is from the perspective of our, from the perspective of the things that we just created. And what those things are, I don't remember if I said this. These are called reactive statements. So if I did not say that, that's what these are called in Svelte. So every time that I click this, count is going to update, and then doubled and quad are going to react from that. So you can see why this would be cool. This is a very basic example, and I get that, and there are probably other ways that you could do this, but the idea and the principle is this. And this is one of the reasons why I'm very excited about Svelte. So looking at what's going on here, there's a couple of things. Quad is taking something that's being calculated off of state, and it's doing its own calculation. So we have a piece of state, we have this reactive statement that is calculated off of that piece of state, and then we have another reactive statement that is calculated off of the previous calculation. This is called derived state. And I get it, yes, it's a basic example, but you can get as complicated and as nested as you would like to get with these in Svelte. You can make them very complex things. They don't have to be simple. And the principle is behind this is what is so powerful here. In React, this would take use effects, multiple use effects, right? Or you'd have to have an external library, something like Recoil that has selectors. So this is super cool. And like, I can't wrap my brain around how little code is making this happen. The last thing that I want to talk about here is these are automatically monitored for you by Svelte. You don't have to worry about any dependency list. Svelte is constantly monitoring these for you. You don't have to do anything else to these. Anytime that doubled changes, quad will react. Anytime that count changes, doubled will react, because they're those reactive statements. We can go ahead and delete this, and let me just point out that's what I'm doing here. So I created a reactive statement, and what it is an immediately invoked function. So anytime that game over changes or anytime that player changes, this reactive statement, which is a function, will rerun. So I don't actually have to do much monitoring with my messaging. I just put it in there. Let's get rid of that count because it no longer exists. Make sure to delete everything out that we just created. And then when we come back to our application, you can see when you click one, the message updates. And it's solely updating because it's a reactive statement. That message is what's driving this. And so every time I click something that changes game over, or in this case player, and then now the last one, now game over is set and the winner is selected as player X properly. And if I hit reset, a beautiful side effect of this is that resets player and game over, and I don't even need to include my message because Svelte is watching those things for me. And the default return is the original state it's supposed to be in. So I don't even need to watch that in my reset. I can just let Svelte handle that for me. Man, this is so cool to me. I hope that you guys are finding this super cool. You'll have to let me know what you think. I'm not going to make this video that long. I'm going to cut it off here, but hopefully you found this helpful. I know that I'm super excited to dive into Svelte. I highly recommend that you guys check out their documentation. There's also a YouTube video that they have on their website that I found super helpful. I'll leave a link in the description for that as well. I'm going to take off. You guys have a great day until next time.